What's up, everybody? Welcome to New Knives. It is August 23rd, 26th, 2024, and we have a giant pile of new knives on the table today. So we'll hop right into it after we talk about our Labor Day sale promotional items. So with every purchase over $175, you will get this QSP Penguin for free. So this is a G10 handle, a D2 blade, nice deep carry pocket clip, and this one, instead of the bearings that most Penguins have, this one has phosphor bronze washers. So that's going to keep dust and dirt out a little bit better. It's going to be easier to maintain and clean, and it's going to be easier to lubricate. That is a great deal, in my opinion, because cheap as free is pretty awesome. So if you're crushing on any of the knives on the table, well, most of the knives on the table, and you are interested in something a little extra, then now is the time to go to Blade HQ and pick yourself up some awesome new knives. Speaking of new knives, we have some great ones, starting with this Benchmade. This is the Benchmade Claymore OTF with the mini version. So we have a CPM D2 blade and a very nice injection molded FRN handle with steel reinforcements in the liners. So it's nice and strong, sort of built a lot like the Shootout, except this one has the front actuation scale and that CPM D2 blade. This sort of seems like the logical progression from the Infidel series, which is extremely popular, and lately they've been discontinuing a lot of the Infidel line, but this one is brand new, and it feels sort of the same purpose as the Infidel, but it is probably a third the weight with equivalent strength and equivalent materials. And also comes with a bit of a price drop as well. These are going for $315, and you can get the black one with the black blade or the green one with the black blade, and both of these come in serrated models as well. I'm not sure when those are coming out though. These are fun, I enjoy them, and man, they just fill up the hand just right. Honestly, if I were gonna everyday carry a Benchmade OTF, I think it would be this one. I think I prefer this one to the Shootout. That's just my opinion though. Your mileage may vary. But speaking of OTFs, if you would rather go the gravity route, we have a new brand called Remette. So if you are big in the knife community, you've probably seen this brand floating around. I know Stasa23 Knife Therapy has a lot of Remette talk on his channel. If you want to learn more, go check out his channel. He's a lot of fun. This one has an M390 blade, this titanium handle. And one thing I find very interesting about Remette is the way they put accents on this. So it's very monochromatic here, but on the back here, we have a little inlay of this fat carbon, maybe camo carbon, I'm not sure. And that gives it a little splash of color, but on the back side rather than the show side. And then to make it run, you just push this slide forward like it's an OTF, and then let gravity pull it out. It's fun, it's fidgety, love the swordfish. This one comes this week, as well as this sort of stonewashy looking one, the uncoated titanium and steel. Same mechanism, lots of fun to use. I'm loving the way the gravity knife community is going. But Remette has more than just gravity knives up their sleeves. Next up, they have a knife called the Peregrine Falcon. And this one I found very interesting because first of all, we have a full titanium handle with this beautiful like lightning strike anodize on it, an M390 blade with a lot of extra milling and grooving in there. And this one is like a liner button lock. So if you're familiar with the Spyderco Smock, how it has a button that actuates a compression lock, this one has a button that actuates a liner lock. So it's kind of a similar system, but it's on the pivot. Makes it nice and fidgety, but you can still run the liner lock with your thumb if you care to. But I think I just use that button because it's super fidgety. Love the Tanto blade on this one. I like this one. It's a good knife. And then the last one from Remette we have is called the Kingfisher. Once again, titanium with these inlays with that lightning strike anodization M390, and it's a frame lock. And what I like about this one is it has this very interesting Tanto blade. So the secondary tip is way down here, and then it has an inward curve ever so slightly back here. So that's gonna be nice if you're doing push cuts, because it will sort of, like if you're cutting a rope, it'll gather all of the fibers together, and then as you might bend your wrist just a little bit, it'll get a little slicey, and then when it hits that point, it's almost like a serration. It'll just chew through stuff with no trouble at all. And it looks really fun, and it should be pretty easy to sharpen on stones as well, because it's not so much of a recurve that you have to use like rods or something. Very nicely done, Remette. And what I like about this is the price. Titanium, M390, fancy anodization, beautiful grind, 180 bucks, $179.95 at bladehq.com. Very cool indeed. A lot of milling, a lot of extra stuff here. I'll tell you, I think the current race for knives is value. Like we want to bring you top quality but we want to be able to reduce the price where we can. And I think Remette is showing up and doing that, and I'm very excited to see where this brand makes it in the future. Next up, the hotly anticipated Emerson Automatic Knife Company. This one is super exciting because for the longest time, Emerson knives have just been so easy to sell that Ernie has just moved them all directly. So we don't actually get to carry the Emerson folders anymore, but we get to carry the autos exclusively. So if you want the Emerson Automatic Knives, the only place you can find them is bladehq.com. And this one is a great place to start. This is the Elvia Auto. So this one was designed in collaboration with Ed Calderon, who is an edged weapons expert and has been working hard in the field of anti-drugs and anti-cartels in Mexico for a long time now. And this is a knife that he named after his mother, who is sort of his inspiration for getting into self-defense. And I think it's just such a cool story, and Elvia is a fun name, and this thing is downright wicked nasty. So for those of you who follow our channel pretty religiously, a few months ago we did a video with Patrick Odell of Mastro Defense. I forget exactly. He's a self-defense instructor. And I showed up and I'm like, Patrick, good to see you. And he says, hello, tell me about the Elvia Auto. I want one so bad. So Patrick, if you're watching, this one is here and it's waiting for you. We love the Elvia Auto. These are dropping this week, so make sure you're on the wish list. These are a bit spendy. These go for $440, but it's USA made. Really nice springs, anodized aluminum with a very coarse, grippy G10 in the middle. This thing is a self-defense beast of a knife. Very exciting from Emerson. Next up, a knife you may know and love. This is the Cold Steel Recon 1, except this is the Recon M1. So first of all, it's made in Italy instead of made in Taiwan, and the big name in the game is MagnaCut. We have a MagnaCut blade on a Recon 1, and I'll tell you, this is the most ambitious crossover event in history. I am just super excited about this because I love MagnaCut. And S35VN is the go-to steel, well, was the go-to steel for balance, where if you want a solid balance of edge retention, corrosion resistance, and toughness, S35VN was the name. But then MagnaCut came along, and that is the best in terms of balanced steels. And this feels like a really balanced knife to me, and I think this is just the highest manifestation of the Recon 1 to date. So, if you're like me and you like this one, you should pick it up. These are going for $259.99. You're gonna get a bit of a price bump because it is moving to Italy, and because of that increased blade steel. So next up we have Giant Mouse and the Atellier, or Atellier? I don't know, if somebody speaks French, Atellier is how my American small brain wants to say it. But this one has an LMAX blade and this burlap micarta handle and what looks to be a brass backspacer. And this one's got a patina nice. That coating is gonna wear away with time and it's just gonna look really well after a few months of regular carry. These ones are fun, also made in Italy, and this one goes for $245 at bladehq.com. We won't talk too much about the Atellier because that knife has been around for a little while, and it's sort of the mini Grand, and the Grand is a really fun knife too. We'll talk about that another day as well. And then next up, we have from Benchmade, the Readout. And we've seen the Readout before, but now we have a Tanto blade. This one's serrated, and we also have the plain edge version coming out. These ones are also special because of the colorway. We sort of have this green and tan colorway, which to me just screams outdoors, camping, like it has earth tones to it, and then a nice CPM D2 blade. And I know that D2 kind of gets a bad rap these days. People are like, that steel is so last year, but CPM D2 is special. It gets a much finer grain structure, which gives it a lot more edge retention and a whole lot more toughness. It's like a completely different steel. I think it is a welcome addition to a lot of premium knives, especially the Readout. I appreciate what they're doing here with the Readout because you're getting a lot of the same build construction of the Axis locks you know and love. However, this one has this back strap that runs around, gives you a bit more ergonomic comfort. It's nice and rigid in your hand. It's very light, but very hard using. And I think that Benchmade's really got a formula that's working for them right now, where they make stuff that is very light, but very strong. And I think that's something everybody can get behind. And then lastly, we have from Chavez Knives, the Redencion slip joint. So when I hear Redencion, I think big. And this one is not so big. We get a 3-finger grip on this, titanium scales, this nice copper inlay, and an M390 blade like all the other Redencions, but much smaller. And because it's a slip joint, much more legal in a lot of places. This slip joint does have a stop pin in here though. So I know that Jack Wolf Knives, Ben Belkin, who came up a little while ago, says he doesn't prefer the stop pins, but I think I do. because I have a tendency to fidget and I like to grab my knives and do this to them. And that's not a good thing to do to a slip joint without a stop pin in it, because you might chip the edge. But this one, you can do that all day and you're not gonna have any trouble. I do like this one. Made in China, goes for $275 at BladeHQ.com. This is just a sampling of the new knives we have available at Blade HQ this week. So if you like any of these, you can check the links in the description and go to new knives over at the new arrivals over at BladeHQ.com, and you will find a ton of amazing new knives. And one of them might just be the perfect knife for you. And I would recommend picking up one that's at least $175, because you could get this guy for free as well during the Labor Day sale. But with that, we'll see you all next time. Except for everybody here in the chat.